Oh my God. I just found this vintage video of what I used to do 25 years ago. I was a real estate developer. And what you're looking at is, I don't know, maybe over 25 years ago. But it's a 52 lot subdivision. I want you to know that I did all the road work, all this curbing, utilities and everything. But more importantly, the experience of the customer was where I super excelled from the minute they came into the subdivision to looking at the house, the face of the house, to being inside the house. By the way, what you're looking at here is me picking all the furniture. Yes, I know it's a little outdated, but at the time, 25 years ago, this was very appropriate. And yes, I myself went in and picked every single piece, the dining room table, the dining room cover, the armoires, the chairs, the carpeting, that antique table you see, the flowers, the flooring. I did all of it because I had to send a message as to what the emotion was going to be like. And by the way, this is where the fragrance began for me, because the one thing that people look at, this beautiful dining room, everything, the wallpaper, I know it's a little outdated, but 25 years ago, it was the thing. This is the way it should have been, very homey look. But the fragrance is where people used to bake cookies. When you're walking into a model home, I never felt that baking a cookie was the right smell because nobody lives there. But having a particular aroma, a signature aroma, is where my head went to. But why? Because experience has to do with the minute you drive into the subdivision, to you enter, you see the model home from the outside, you're entering the door, and you're smelling. What exactly are you smelling when you see this? Are you smelling a little bit country-ish? Are you smelling country modern? Are you smelling florals? So I had to have a fragrance for every single one of the models. There were 5 models in this particular subdivision of 52 homes. But look at this. The beauty of all this was that when the customer walked in, they had a particular impression, minute 1. They never forgot that impression. Wow, look at this fireplace. It's a double stack fireplace that was custom built in this family room. But imagine the step-by-step evolution of the experience of my customer was what I focused on. I excelled at that, and I knew that. And I knew that I had to not only capture the eyes, I had to capture the tactile, underneath the feet, the tile, the floors. At the time, this was the best. And the fragrance was part of it. So when they walked out, when all their visuals were done, all their experience was done, and look at the subdivision right there. You see that? That's 52 lots right there. And at the time, their experience was all encompassing. That was the magic. That final layer, the fragrance, was what was key. And the reason it's key, it's because it's what solidifies the entire memory. It's the bond. It's the bond that puts it all together. So when the customer then my customer, by the way, just on a side note, let me finish my thought for a second. So when the customer left, they were handed a very small tin jar with the model name and the fragrance. You see this library? You see how there was a earthy, leathery, tobacco-y feel? But you can't do that because that's just the library. So the entire home had to have a particular aroma about it. Because when you look at these images that you're looking at, the entire experience has an entire bouquet as well. The home was a bouquet for your eyes. Let me repeat that. The home is a bouquet for your eyes. But no one creates a bouquet for your nose, which is what I did. I always had a bouquet for your nose. And that's key. It is super key. So when they left, they got a little tin. In the tin was wax and a candle. Underneath the tin was the name of the subdivision and the telephone number and the model name. Look at this beautiful. That was an antique table that I converted into a sink. 25 years ago, I was ahead of the game. I was one of the few people who used to take antique tables like that, cut the top off of it, and turn it into a sink. I have to look it up. Maybe this was 30 years ago. So this is upstairs now. And again, the two-story vaulted ceilings and so forth. But going back to the tin, the fragrance, why was that important? For transparency purposes, marketing was very important to me, because at that point, had I given them a card, they would have thrown it out. Guess what they never did? They never threw away the fragrance. It always kept reminding them of this particular house and the experience that they had. So this was my marketing way. Now, one of the things that would be very cool for me to show you, which I can't, because this is an old video. By the way, this is the den upstairs. I always had a family room, living room, dining room, and a den upstairs looking down into the family room. It was spectacular. I always did these lifestyle feelings where how you felt was very important for me. So my customers always remembered me. But what about the customers who couldn't get to me? I used to burn this particular video on a CD-ROM. I swear to you, it was put on a CD-ROM when the colorful Macs first came out. There was a program called Frog or something. So look that up. This was burned on the Mac CD-ROM, and I used to mass mail this to people's homes. The CD-ROM with instructions. Go to www.quicktime.com, download QuickTime. I mean, this was that era, and that's even back then. Even back then I was doing that. And look at this master bathroom. I always felt that the feeling of being home and arriving was so important. Master bathroom was very important for it to be of this caliber and size. Yes, big. So, wow, I mean, this is so nostalgic for me. But that's how I did it. Oh, one more thing. Marketing 101. I also printed signs everywhere in the neighborhood and nailed it on trees and said, for this development, this was at the time called Royal Oaks. That's what this development was called, Royal Oaks. And I put directions. And of course I got fined by the police department because you're not supposed to put signs on trees and telephone poles. But I did. But that was my marketing. You had to, guerrilla. And this was the sales room. You see, all the selection, you sat in the home, not in an office, in that home. And that's how I did it, people. I'm happy to share this, and this is how the fragrance business, or the candle business, began. Back then. Even then I said thank you. Love you guys.